Good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the 30th of September, 2019. We're going to jump into our cryptocurrencies and see what is looking like the best ones. Before we... I want to give a big thank you to the people who are supporting this stream. The people who are patron sponsors up on the screen right now are those advanced people who are getting access to the cryptocurrency spreadsheet that I'll show you more at the end of the stream. And I want to say that today's the last day to get into the Patreon special for October. If you wait until tomorrow, you don't get in until November. Now, in this episode, we're going to go through the big 7 cryptocurrencies that trade on BitMEX. And we're going to check through the relative strength index, the on-balance volume, MACD, and the Ichimoku. And then at the end, I will take any requests that you have. I'm not sure if my stream details are all working smoothly or not, but we do like to have new subscribers. You're supposed to get an animation, a song and dance on the front. So grab a Frisbee and come and join us to play with cryptocurrencies. Now, before we jump in, I want to just quickly brush by our disclaimer. You can pause the video to read through this stuff. It's not trading advice, just market observation. Now, I'm going to abruptly end the music. Let me tune it down. That's nicer. And let's jump into our screen here. The chat box seems to have cached out there. Refresh that. I have trouble with this chat box constantly and don't know why. So if you have any tips on making this Streamlabs thing work properly, I would appreciate it. So I've got my microphone, I've put on my hat, and we are ready to start going through the cryptos. Here we are looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then we have Bitcoin longs and Bitcoin shorts. You can see this estimation here. I was expecting the longs would be picking up as Bitcoin prices were going up, and that we would reach this peak. And as we reach that, then prices would be making a top formation and we would see a big drop back down. And I was also expecting that the shorts would be, well, it makes sense. If the price is going up, that the shorts should be dropping off. But it doesn't make sense that the price is going up and the longs are dropping off right now. So this we'll just observe over time to see how the longs versus shorts actually play out here. I'm expecting the prices to go up a bit and then to hammer back down to really shake out all of these longs and bring us back down to a lower level before we hit a bottom and going to be starting back up. So that's the general thing with Bitcoin that I've got going on. Let me see if I can get this chat box to work. Refresh that. What is the deal? Because it was working on this page and then not here. Let me see. Some parts are working, so I will just leave that fucking thing to do its own. And let's start off by going through the main 6-7 coins that we're going to do here. We go through ADA, and I want to take a look at the long-term time frame here on the one-day view, just to get an idea of where we are versus the whole season rather than just the day. Then we go on to BCH, ABC. And what I want to point out here is that the prices are still like below these levels. So for me, that just kicks it right out of my trading strategy for most of the time until it makes a bigger bottom formation here, maybe even until it breaks up above these levels. For me, this is continuing on the pissing off the roof formation and not showing a bottom formation that is catching and holding its own bladder. It's been kicked in the stomach and pissed itself here. Now let's go on to EOS. This one's almost as bad. We got a better, it's holding its own bottoms, so it has the potential to build the structure to go up above. And we'll take a look at our indicators to see if that's going to give us any juice. Ethereum has made a pretty good move up, and now we have a potential for a top formation. And I want to zoom in and see, is it a top formation, or is this an ascending wedge triangle that's going to be bursting higher? The indicators should be giving us inside view as to what's happening with that. One of the reasons I scan them every day. So now when we're looking at Litecoin, we can see that we do have a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and prices are inside that, so it's like a neutral coin. There's no signal yet until it actually changes direction, because it could keep going on sideways forever. Now let me see. Let me know where you in the world you are from. Say hello in the chat. Let me know where in the world you're from. If you find this helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you're back for more, be sure to subscribe, because it is a trading plan that is really easy to learn. You can do this, and I'm super excited to be teaching this so that you can do this. I want to hear your success stories. We have the bottom formation shaping up here in TRX on this time frame, and we could have gotten in here, and I did take on a position myself. Just a small position on high leverage, so it's doing pretty good. Crazy, actually. And we'll see how that turns out as we zoom into this. So it's a really nice bottom formation shaping up there. One of the better. This is even better. Now we have quite a few that are making the 1, 2, 3 and coming up to test these levels in a setup that could be a top formation. We've got the exhaustion wicks going on here and the uptrend line. So top formations happen faster than bottom formations. I want to zoom in on these now with the indicators and see how they're doing. Akil, good to have you along. Good evening from Paris. This is middle of the afternoon here in Canada. And I'm testing this out to see if it's a good time to do this live stream and cover these things over and over again. Let me know. Now with ADA, we're going to go through our indicators. We're going to start off with the relative strength index, and we're going to stick to these longer time frames to start making our decisions. This is where we make our decisions, and then we zoom in on the closer time frames to pinpoint it. So yesterday we were going through much the same thing on most of these coins, where the RSI is giving us this definite setup. And if it breaks down below here, it could be that the whole downtrend is going to continue on, and Bitcoin dominance is going to go up, and we're going to get crushed more. So this is a really important spot to be watching, top or bottom, all the way along. As we zoom into the 12-hour time frame, this just gets more clear that we have that consolidation right at the midline. Prices, the RSI goes below, prices are going down. RSI goes above, prices are going up. So we're right in that decision spot at pretty much where we were yesterday. A little bit different, but not much. So again, we're watching for these RSI to shape up and give us some juice. Now, if we go into the on balance volume and we start out with the 12-hour view, we've got buying and less buying here on these two different tops. And so that's not giving us the juice to be going higher. We have to see positive on balance volume as we're breaking above these levels. We've got a really nice 1, 2, 3. And if we are changing directions, this is a beautiful, beautiful moment in this chart. Incredibly beautiful. And we saw how wonderful that RSI divergence was. So should the volume be picking up as we're breaking above this, we are rocking. I want to go into the MACD indicator. And we're watching for this to cross to the positive in the MACD. If we go to the 12-hour time frame, I'm watching for this to cross to the positive or to the negative. It's, center line. We've just got to wait for it. So this on the 4-hour time frame eased back, but it has crossed positive there. Let's go into the 1-hour time frame to see. No, not yet. This will have to cross back positive, break these records as we're going up above these levels. So we do have, again, really clear things to be watching for as we're breaking up or down below these levels. It is wonderful, the setup that we have here. It's a beautiful point in time. Now let's just confirm by looking at the Ichimoku cloud on the 12. Let's go into the one day time frame to start off with. We've got the bottom, 3 hits off the bottom. It's a 1, 2, 3. It's shaping up. It's not above the cloud yet on the 1 day view. On the 12-hour time frame, it has gone above the cloud, but we're also getting some uncertain bearish crossovers here. So again, got to break these levels. The 4-hour time frame's confirming that we got to break those levels, and it's not giving us the super strong structure yet. So just hang back and watch to see what's going on with ADA. It's not going to be the one stepping up first. Now, you already know I'm biased against Bitcoin Cash to begin with. It's a fork of a fork of, and I don't know the technology, so it's just my bias. The chart, however, is already broken down below these levels, and it's got a whole lot of work, extra work to do to break back up above those and give me a bullish structure. So we can see, and I'll go to the longer term time frame in the RSI. It's nowhere near as nice as what we had in ADA because it had this nice divergence going on and fouled it. So if I go to, whoops, wrong one. Give it a second. If I go on to, wow, those are both pretty similar. We have a double top here and the weakening MACD indicator as well. So this really doesn't look strong. And if it switches and starts to break above this, we'll tune in and we'll see what this is doing. But I'm not jumping in on this until quite a bit later, until it builds quite a bit new structure on this. Let's skip the rest of that and go on to EOS. And surprisingly, it's similar, except that it didn't crap as bad. And it didn't break down to new lows. So we did have these higher highs, higher lows all the way along with the RSI. So it was a beautiful divergence going on. And then it's kind of spoiled it. It's come down to these levels where it just saved itself, really. So if it starts to break above these levels again, as we're going up, then we are finishing the turnaround. And so the RSI here has got to build the structure again. And that is on the 1 day view. So if we zoom into the 12-hour, and the 4-hour, this is just going to give us confirmation as all of that unfolds. And really, the 1 day and the 12-hour are asking for it to unfold at least above these levels, and likely not until above these levels, so that we are assured that we're not going sideways in a choppy market, but we're actually waiting for the tide to change direction and start to move. Then we can step into this. Let's go to EOS in the on-balance volume just for a quick peek at this. Nothing happy here. No good news. We had such a big amount of dumping there that we got to sit now. Everybody's taking a punch and they're just reeling. Go on to EOS. If we're looking at the MACD indicator on the longer term time frame, we have a twist to the negative here, across rather. On the 12-hour time frame, it crossed to the negative, but it's held itself there. So now that gives it a whole bunch more power and structure up above this. If it's going up above this now, I have a whole lot more belief in it because of this crossover right there. That really is great. And that the 4-hour time frame has crossed earlier and stayed in this parallel channel is good. I want it to flare more wide as this is breaking up higher. Or it could come back down and rest a little bit and then break above these levels. But those levels are key, and if we're not breaking above them, I don't want to do it. I just want to sit and watch. And even if we're breaking above, this is a coin to start off small in. There's time to add in more. Let's go to EDO in the 1 day time frame. Still below the cloud. On the 12-hour time frame, still below the cloud. And not getting that twist to the positive here in the blue over the red. So more things, just saying hold back and wait. We could see that candle just ticked a little bit more negative here too. 4-hour time frame, no juice yet. All of this is just saying hang out. Let's wait for this to mature sideways a bit more. This is getting better when we get into the 1-hour time frame. Now we're actually getting a positive buy signal here. That's the first of it. But as we can see, it's going to have to hold this. It's going to have to hold these levels and build this structure and get back up above it. And then we're getting happier. Now we're into friendlier territory. Cool. I like it. Let's go on to the next one, which is Ethereum. Now, Ethereum's made some pretty cool moves up there. And is this a top formation? Well, if it's a top formation that's going to fail, we're going to see a divergence in the RSI. If we zoom back out to the 12-hour, it's a stronger divergence, and yet up, pull back up, pull back up. That's okay in the uptrend. That's all okay for the RSI to be doing this. And so if the RSI continues to tick higher than this and go up as we're breaking out, that's confirmation and it's okay. Then this divergence can be it's okay. Unless the MACD indicator is also giving us the divergence. Let's zoom in just a bit on this. Trying to see if there's any like a negative divergence going on here or a break of this trend line as this is happening, because that's going to be our quick trigger point for some of the top formations just right at these edges, right? Just like this. Beautiful. And what are we in a 4-hour time frame? Let's go on to the next and see what the volume's looking like. Just a quick look at this. This is much better. We've got volume and volume, even though it's less across these, and that's kind of bearish. It's a better volume profile than we just saw in the other coins. So let's go into the Ethereum 1 day, crossing indistinctively, 12-hour time frame, a little bit positive there, just the littlest bit. And if we go into the 4-hour time frame, it is crossing positive, kind of wavering there. It's also uncertain. I would like it to flare wider. Let's see what the 1-hour time frame. So the 1 hour is getting weaker. Look at this. Now we have our divergence. Did I miss the divergence in the last slide? I did. Look at this divergence. I was so busy looking at the crossover, I didn't see the divergence. And it is a weaker divergence setting up here. So that gives me more bearish view. And then as I zoom in to the 1 hour time frame, this is across to the negative, and they are lower crosses. And so I do anticipate this is going to pull back from here. And if we go look at this one. Okay, this is the 1 minute bars of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. So when Bitcoin starts to move, we can really quickly see by looking at these pretty much what Bitcoin dominance is doing. Because if all 4 of these are going down as Bitcoin goes up, it seems to affect all of dominance everywhere. So Ethereum, you're looking a little bit weaker from where you are according to this. Let's go into the Ichimoku cloud on the 1 day view. This is looking good. It's gone through the cloud. I think Ethereum and Ripple are the only two to go through the cloud on the 1 day view. On the 12 hour, this is looking much better, but it's given me that same kind of weakening feeling here, though the blue has not crossed below the red yet. That would be the more important if it actually crossed right there. Let's go into the 4 hour time frame to see if it has crossed. No, not yet. And recall that we had that crossover here in this 1, 2, 3 top formation across all of the different alts. All 6 or 7 of them here crossed right there on the Ichimoku cloud at the same time, and then all of them pulled back. So that this has not crossed negative as it's coming up to these levels is important. I really want to watch that now. Let's go on to Litecoin and see what this is doing. See if we can find one of our best cryptocurrencies for October here. So far, they're setting up and they're maturing, but they're not really taking off yet. These bottom formations are just building up the momentum, getting the accumulation done. So Litecoin pretty much stays the same prognosis as yesterday, in that we are watching to see what happens above and below these ranges right now. It is inside a nice 1, 2, 3 that broke out. Now it's pulled back to retest the number 3 point. 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. Came back to retest the number 3. So it gives us an even larger 1, 2, 3 bottom formation with a 1, 2, 3 on the one side, a larger 1, 2, 3 here, right? And then a smaller 1, 2, 3 here, which gives us an inverted head and shoulders formation, giving this spot here super significance. Not just significance, but super significance. So as it's breaking above this, it's a great place to be starting a trade. Then we could just hang out on that trade until it comes up above these levels, and we can add on to that trade, and now we're set up. We can start off with less risk by having a small trade here, wait till this part here, and then we know the entire momentum of the whole machine has changed directions, and we're good to go. We're good to get on there with a little bit of protection. So if we had a one position here and we added on one position here, our average entry would be here. That allows us to put on our position, get our stop loss up above our entry point, let prices come up above this, and then we double our position. We add on to it. Our average entry becomes this. We can move our stop loss above our average entry, and we are protected here in that way of setting up the trades. So it's the least risky, the most risk adverse way of setting up a trade that is trying for the long-term trend and recognizing that this may go sideways for months. We don't want to have our whole position on yet. We're not proven full enough correct. And let's go into the volume and see what it's saying here. BTC seems to have just topped and is retracing a bit now. We'll jump back into BTC in a second. Let's go into Litecoin. The volume pattern isn't giving us the juice yet. So as it's breaking above these levels and we're seeing this juice of some buying power, then that's going to confirm our buy signal in Litecoin. But right now it is saying hang back. We could even have, well, the 1 hour is crossed to the negative. So that's going down from here. Let's go to the 4 hour. It's still positive, but the 1 hour is crossed to the negative. So it's not looking so good. How about the 12-hour time frame? It is almost crossing positive. So we really have to watch. The 1 hour is more volatile. It will swim back and forth quite a bit. So it's not as reliable. But if it's flaring negative and we're breaking these levels all the way along, we've got a very nice range in our very nice range to work with for decisions, top and bottom. I'm not shorting this, but I'd be paying attention to not be getting into a long position until it's done some more establishing, and probably it has to get back above these levels in any shape, some way over time. No matter what unfolds from here, it may come back, but it still, we'd have to wait for it to get above these levels again for it to be giving us a signal. Let's go to the Ichimoku cloud for Litecoin, go into the 1 day view. Okay, so Ethereum was above the cloud in this time frame, but Litecoin's certainly not. We go into the 12-hour time frame. Ethereum's looking way better than this, still languishing on the cloud, and we have this is twisted to the negative. The blue is below the red. So if I go on now to the 4-hour time frame, we're not getting any twist to the positive. We're not getting that juice. And according to this chart, we shouldn't be doing anything until we're getting above this cloud. So it's saying hold your horses until above this level, not just above this level. So we have 3 different ranges here that are really clear in this Litecoin chart that we can just start to stagger in our position as that unfolds. Now I want to go on to TRX. I did put on a long position in this, and it's doing good. Let's see. It is still up 58% because that means it's up 5% and I'm on 10 times leverage. So we have the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It came back and retested those levels, really kind of skewered it. And if you had gotten into an entry here and put your stop loss above your entry, you would have been kicked out of this trade. And then you have to re-establish after the next consolidation point, which was right here. And that's where I put on my long as it was setting up and staging out of there. So I've got my stop above my entry, and there's nothing for me to do now except to let the market decide how correct I am. If it is breaking above these levels, I will consider adding on. So now what I'm watching for is a break in the RSI that may mean that this is topping out here and pulling back. And it certainly could. Absolutely. We could be in a sideways market for a long time. In the 12-hour time frame, the RSI is a beautiful divergence though. If I go into the 1 day time frame, it's a pretty good divergence here too. Where's my... So I see we've got some new alerts coming into our Discord chat. These are the automated alerts that are coming in from our published alerts that are, okay, those are alerts that it's catching up on still. Good. New alerts. We got another half a dozen new alerts on Binance here today. I'll talk about those in a second. TRX volume. What's going on? On the 12-hour time frame, this is like the best looking one so far. This has got some really nice set of volume going. Nice set of volume right there. How about TRX in the... There's my 10 times long. 1 day time frame. Crossing to the positive here. Kind of. And I like this divergence all the way along here. Clear off all this stuff. Zoom in. And I didn't like that it crossed to the negative here, but then I do like that it's crossed back to the positive here as we broke those levels. It was a no-brainer for me. I had to, that's what I look for. This is what I'm waiting for. This is the whole thing that I'm waiting for and watching for and waiting until that kind of moment. So that's when I put on my trade. And I've got my stop above my entry. Now it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting to see how that actually turns out. And if it comes back and kicks me out, that's okay. I'm not going to fret about that and FOMO back in right away. I'll wait until it comes back up above these levels. So if I get knocked out here, I get back in here. If I get knocked out here, I get back in here. And I keep staging in because really I'm looking at the longer term picture of what this is going to do. So if I miss it by a few Satoshi here, no worries. We're in this for a much longer term move. Once we establish a position, we may be holding it for, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months on a short position out of this crossover on this top position here. 8 months holding a short position in this. Where are we? A 12-hour time frame. All of a sudden this looks wrecked. Does it ever? Let's see if the next chart is just as wrecked. Nope, thankfully. So the 1 year view of TRX, looking at the 1, 2, 3 bottom shaping up, it has not gone through the cloud like we saw with Ethereum. But on the 12-hour time frame, it's looking much better. This is a beautiful 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It is just a point of concern that we have exhaustion wicks at the top of these. Always a concern to have an exhaustion wick at the top of the 1, 2, 3 bottom as it's coming up to break out. We'll have to watch to see what happens here. Let's zoom into the 4-hour time frame. That crossed to the positive and is looking really good. So there are 2 markets that did that, crossing to the positive here on the 4-hour time frame. And on the 1 hour, of course, it's looking good. It's up above the cloud, better than we've seen for many of them. And I like what the cloud is doing here as I drag this over. I like that it is skinny and that this is, behind the price and wide. Nice, nice, nice. So that takes us through most of them. Let's go on to Ripple. And then if you have anything you'd like me to go through, then we can go through all those things. And I'll jump into the chat. Let me say that I really like the divergence in the RSI setting up here. As we have this bottom shaping up, this is way ahead and setting up beautifully in Ripple. It looks like we're going to get a standing candle out of this. And the standing candle will be just as wide as this is deep, just as tall as this is wide. And pretty much just hitting the 50% level of this most recent move, the biggest move. Just fits perfectly and would be sitting right at support and resistance from the past, way back over here. So I am pretty excited about that one. That looks great just from this 1 day view. If we zoom into the 12-hour time frame, now I'm looking to see, is there a divergence as we're trying to break out here? Right, we're trying to see if are these exhaustion candles, is this a top formation that is just about to break? Many times I've tried to trade these 1, 2, 3 bottoms. They looked great, but right after this moment, 1, 2, 3, right at this moment, as they're looking the very best, it's actually the very worst time to get into it. And it is this break of the RSI trend line that gives that away. So that we have a divergence here and we have this trend line, we have a specific spot to watch for that break. Let's go into the 12-hour, zoom into the 4-hour time frame. To me, it's still looking pretty good. But we do have this level that if it breaks this level, we are in, coming back. Let's check out the volume to see what Ripple's doing. And not bad, except that it's got volume and less volume going on here. I'd like to see it at least even like we saw, or much stronger on this side than like we saw on the other coins that just recently. That's not as good. If I go into Ripple now and see if this chart's going to work for us, let's go to the good. Whoa, look at that. I would just zoom back here to the weekly view. Look at that crossover. That is huge. Just as big as the crossover in Bitcoin out of this top. We have a cross to the bottom here. That is really important in Ripple. That we have this down stuff going on and we have this uptrend all the way along is kind of reminiscent of what we saw in Bitcoin prices as they were coming down here, and we had a massive divergence in the RSI and the on-balance volume, MACD indicator. We had those really big divergences that took 6 weeks or 2 months for them to unfold. And here we are 6 weeks to 2 months with this big divergence setting up. This is going to do a standing candle. We're going to double in price in this, and it's not going to be a leisurely double either. It's going to be something crazy. Then the bottom formation is telling us, so we can come back and watch this video later and see it all setting up. That this is going to the positive is really good. This has a lot more room. It can go to the upside, right? We can really scream to the upside so that we have this divergence setting up, and this looking positive is huge. Huge. Really great to see this one going flaring positive and staying there. If it holds these levels and starts to give strength off of that, we're rocking. This is going. This is going to move. This is the big wet blanket on the party, though. This has to catch itself at these support and resistance levels. It has to hold itself here and then cross back to the positive. So here's something specific to be watching for that we don't have cross to the negative and cross to the negative that are one lower than the next. So if this pulls up and crosses to the negative again, we're shit out of luck. Let's go on to Ripple, Ichimoku Cloud on the 1-day view. There we go. So Ripple and Ethereum are the only two, as far as my short-term memory goes, the only two that are making it above this cloud on the 1-day view. Let's go into the 3-month view, and it is looking good. Looking good. It's above the cloud, and it gives it enough room to waver around in here. For this chart pattern, it will sit above here, no problem. That wouldn't be a problem at all for it to go sideways like that. The Ichimoku Cloud would just love it. No worries. But if we're zooming in now to the 4-hour time frame, that's what I'm looking for, is the blue line crossing over the red as we're double topping here. Because that was an important crossover as the blue crossed under the red here and we made all these top formations. This really was important. And as it crossed over and we made these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations, it was important. Now that it's easing off and topping here, I want to track it. And let's go into the 1-hour time frame. Because it crossed to the positive, everything is still holding itself positive, but it does give us a very specific spot now that if this is coming over and the blue crosses below the red, then we've got a whole bunch more fighting to do through this cloud before we're setting up. But again, it's got to stay above this level and give us that structure. Then we are setting up really good in Ripple. So a small position starting out here would be prudent. And then for this chart, if you were starting out here with your initial position and you were starting out and trying to be risk adverse, then you would wait for it to come up, maybe bounce off of this and give a little hesitation before putting on your next position so that your stop would be above your initial position, your averaged position would be here, and your stop would be above that. As soon as you put it on, you already have your stop in a profitable position. So those are the ways to set it up for the trend trading so that we are looking at holding it through a longer term change in the market, through the trend through time. So we're always looking to establish and then destablish, establish and destablish according to these, to the way the market moves, in and out and in and out and in and out as it goes. Let's see. Now, next thing to go through is Bitcoin dominance. It is picking up off of these levels. We're on the 15-minute time frame. I'm going to zoom out to the 2-hour bars, and this takes a second to load up. This is always an interesting chart. This is the 20-second bars, not the 1-minute bars. This is every 20 seconds it changes to a new bar. And then we have the liquidation reports along the side here. So as markets are moving fast, the liquidation reports show up here in real time. Pretty cool. Just to sit and watch. Now, let's go back to the Bitcoin dominance chart, not loaded up. Let's refresh that. And it takes a bit for this to load up. While we are doing that, I would like to point out that, where is our Patreon Bull Market Watch spreadsheet? Let's go into some of the altcoins here. The altcoins in general are switching to a more positive stance, and we can really see it. It's much different than in July and in August. Now we have a lot more hold status coins and alert status coins. So we have 35 hold coins and 36 alert coins in Binance right now out of 150. And we still have, if I go right to the end and take a look at the Binance Bull Market Watch data, we still have 30 markets that are in near fail status, 5 of them in fail status, 55 in neutral. These are the main ones that we want to be interested in checking out. And there are a few scatterings in these neutral coins that are almost ready to go. But you can see that there's quite a split now in the front runners that are taking off. Now, this is our patron bull market watch spreadsheet, and we're doing a patron drive that ends today. We have 14 patrons and we're aiming to get 20. If you join tomorrow, you don't get the benefits of everything until November 1st because of the way that Patron does their billing. So today is the last day to join as a patron, $15 a month to get access to this spreadsheet. And if we get our 20 people, then I'm going to pay to have this spreadsheet upgraded so that it automatically sends you a brief summary of what are the coins that are in hold and alert status, in addition to which coins are in exit status, so that we know that here on August 28th, these 5 coins said get out. Then on the 30th, these ones said get out, and these ones said get out. So we could see everything easing off as the top formations were creating and we were pulling back there in early September. So all of this data would be yours as a patron sponsor. This and much more, actually. Now there is a more detailed plan that we do where we go through the specifics of every coin and we give you entries, exits, profit loss targets. And here are some of the results from our alerts. Up 44% on MDA, 32% on Vibe, 31% on KNC, and you would get these alerts if you were a member of our alerts package. So this covers over 200 coins, everything on Binance. There's nothing out there like this. Nothing at this price for sure. And it comes with the entire trading plan so that you can learn how to trade this stuff rather than just following along some bot that tells you what to do. And this, you can actually learn this stuff and understand it and then implement it. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance because this is one of the last important things we'll cover here. It's showing a head and shoulders top formation, but just this last little bit, it is picked back up. It has bounced off this area and is starting to bounce up a little bit. So if it's pulling back up this way, the alts are going to suffer a little bit, but we'll watch for this to create its top formation and finish. If it's starting to go back up above these levels, this is going to be important. All the alts will stall and they'll just take more time to do something. If it stays in this range and starts to break below this, don't doubt, don't hesitate, don't wonder. Pay attention to those 1, 2, 3 bottom formations. They are going to be taking off. This is it. There's no denial once this breaks this formation. This isn't a trend line that you can cut this way and that way. This isn't a Fibonacci that you can stretch it that way and the other way. This is not a Fibonacci circle, or it's not a moving average that I can switch my moving average to this number or that number and make it fit the chart just the way I want. This is a 1, 2, 3 formation that is undeniable, irrefutable. When that crosses those levels, it's an important moment. So pay attention. All of the alts are going to be taking off. And if you haven't already, be sure to go to the home page of the website. You may not be ready to keep current on 200 cryptos a day and to be following along with all of these great alerts. Maybe the patrons sponsorship is right for you, and that'd be fantastic. Maybe you're just starting out and the free training would be good for you. Head over to the website and put your email address in so you get the free webinar of our complete trading system. Come and join the 53 members who are live right now over on our Discord chat. Click on this icon to bring up the latest of the live streams and dig into this free training. It is complete. It gives you the full system, but it leaves a lot of work to you. If you want us to save you a whole bunch of work, come and join us over on Patreon for $15 a month. You won't find anything like it. And if you really want to get into the details and the good stuff, then join us in our alerts package. Some great stuff going on. Now, that about wraps it up here. Let me go back to the chat and see what you've got for me. Let me see. Manufacturing customers. That's an awesome name. I'm a newbie since yesterday. Best advice for me to put $1,000 into cryptos would be spend $15 and become a patron member so that you get full answers to all of that stuff. You get the entire trading system. Woo! Manufacturing customers just subscribed. Happy dance. Woohoo! But really, that $15 is your very best investment. And let me go to YouTube, and don't take my word for it. Let me bring up a video that I just published public the other day, and one of our patron sponsors left a beautiful review below it. Wrong click. And why is that? Why is it that this video is not coming up where I can see it? There we go. This was supposed to be right on the home page. It should have been easy for everyone to find. So here we have, nobody has this information anywhere. I'm so glad I joined up at Patreon. There's a lot of learning curve, but yes, if you understand the system, you know when to get out of your losers. And he says, I have scoured the marketplace, and right here is the best value for the money. The bonus is what Doug offers is easy to master for profitable trades. It is not easy to master. It's easy to explain. It's easy to understand. It's easy to recognize, but it's not easy to master. This takes study. It takes practice. I was a karate instructor for 20 odd years, and I can teach you front kick. I can teach you front kick in 5 minutes, but you know it's going to take you years of practice to be getting good at front kick. Even though it's such a simple action with your leg, pick up your knee, stick out your foot, bring your foot back, put your knee back down. In order to do that fast and effectively, it takes practice, repetition, over and over and over so that you don't think about it anymore. It's taken care of by your motor reflexes. It's the same thing with this pattern recognition. You have to repeat it over and over until you don't think about it anymore. Now, I think you're in a really fantastic place, manufacturing customers, because of the chart patterns that we're in right now. It is a lucky, lucky time to be just starting out at this moment. So go and soak up that material. Learn about the 5 stages of the trade from the free training on the website. And really, the Patreon group is something that I've been putting together for, let's go back and see. This isn't all the data, but if I go back to the Poloniex bull market watch data that you get access to, and I scroll this back through time, we can see that you can go back here to January. We've been updating this every single day except through the month of April. And this would have been so phenomenal to have all this data, but I wasn't doing it as a Patreon group. I was just doing it, as a volunteer and keeping it up to date for myself and for our videos. Now I've turned it into a Patreon group so that I have enlisted help with one of our course graduates who's helping me go through all of this stuff. And so we can actually split the revenue on this and keep it going. But without your support and without the revenue to keep it going, it only takes me 10 minutes to do it for myself. And I don't really need to put the time and the effort into sharing it with everybody. But I'm hoping that we can build a good audience and a big group here and make it worth our while to keep this up to date and fresh for everybody so we all benefit. There's no shortage out there. If you benefit and you make a profit out of it, it doesn't cut back how much profit I could make. All right. So I've got to go back to the chat, see if there's any more requests. Be sure to come and join us on Discord. Thank you, Smoking Altcoins. Spend some time on learning the material. Yeah, repeat this stuff. Go through it. Study it. This is the time. And there are special reports in our Patreon group that talk about how to establish a brand new portfolio. What should you be doing? The reason I'm doing this is I believe that there are two groups of people who want this information in the Patreon group special. First, there are investors who already know what they're doing. They don't want to spend any time at it. They just want to know what to buy and when to get out. They don't have to be educated. They already know all this stuff. They just want to know when to get in and when to get out, how to build a portfolio. They understand it's going to be months or 18 months to build a portfolio and to unwind it. And that's what they're looking for. Easy stuff. And then the other group of people are new. They are just starting out. They want a simple answer to all of this stuff while you are learning and learning and learning. There's a huge learning curve. And if you can have a base to start off with and compare against all the time, it's going to really help you stay on track. Instead of going off and looking at 100 different YouTube channels that have 100 different approaches and you never get solid on one of them. So that's my purpose here. And I am really bummed that this chat feature just doesn't work 9 times out of 10 along the side. That's a pain in the ass. Alrighty, so I'm going to sign off for now. I appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Be sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and today is the last day to come and be a patron sponsor and get all of this access through the month of October. If you join tomorrow, you don't get billed until November, and so you don't get access until November. So you can join, but it's kind of crazy the way they have it set up on Patreon. I don't really agree with it. Stellar. Let's go and take a look at Stellar. 1 year view. So I want to take a step back to see where are we in the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. 1, 2, 3, pissing off the roof. 1, 2, 3, pissing off the roof. 1, 2, 3, pissing off the roof. Finally, we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here that matches old history. And as this was coming down here and fading off of this, and I was looking at the Fibonacci projections here, wrong way. So if I do this projection this way, I was looking to say, man, this is terrible. It's like there's nothing for support and resistance all the way along here. Once it breaks these levels, there's nothing all the way down, a little bit here, and it stopped there. But there was no help all the way down. And I didn't play this pissing off the roof formation properly. And then I was still trying to get into a long position here and had to get kicked out here and, just kept playing it over and over again. And so we have to be aware of that. But now that it's coming down to these levels, I think we're setting up into something huge. And this is going to follow along with what Ripple's doing. So as Ripple is going, this is going to be a sister market that goes along with it. So just by looking at it in this perspective, then you have to have a trade that is small enough that you can leave your stop loss back and give it this much range. You have to have a small enough position planning on being there for the return of this trend line, the change. Remember, Bitcoin did all of these kind of huge moves in the past where it went way up and all the way back down. You know, that video says, don't buy Bitcoin, it's going to crash. Well, this is much the same thing. As we're building up above these levels, there's no hurry. We can be putting on our position, wait for it, and then put on the rest of our position here, average out our entry and our stop losses above our entry right away. Same story, same song and dance for most all of these, most all of them. The thing is that there are 30 of them that are still in near fail status, and while there are 30 of them in hold status. Knowing which ones are hold status early makes the difference in holding 45% profit gains and holding some that are pulling back and, you know, giving you little losses now after you've got into them. That's the difference. Boom, boom. So yeah, Stellar, I think, is looking pretty good. And if I go into these indicators, just to give us a bit of a view, I love this divergence. I love it. And remember, in Bitcoin, if we go back and take a look at Bitcoin, this had the major divergence going on here while we had the downtrend. And it took a long time before this manifested. So the alts could still take a long time. We could be in a bottom that goes sideways. This is why I'm waiting for many of them until they break above those levels to show me that they've changed direction and they're not just going to go sideways. And then there's no point spending any time on them. Not yet. Not till they give us a direction. There's the link to the free webinar. Head over to IntroToCryptos.ca and sign up for that. Don't put it off. If you're an aficionado that watches video after video after video, challenge yourself now. I challenge you to take the action and put some of these ideas to use. Because an idea is all wonderful. We can all go, yeah, but it's all just philosophy until you're actually putting it into action. So I challenge you. Head over to IntroToCryptos.ca, sign up, get that free training, go through that 1 hour webinar, and there is a companion book that you can purchase that goes along on Kindle. And you get all of that stuff for free if you join up on Patreon. All of those things for bonuses. Not that I'm pushing Patreon at all here today. But I'll sign off for now. I appreciate you few who are being here. Let's grow this channel because this is the real stuff. This is real technical analysis based on a specific trading plan that I've been using for years. I put all this data together to prove it to you, but I already know this system works. Now, I will head back to our opening scene and I'll leave you there for a few minutes. Cheers, and a big thank you again, hip hip hooray to the current Patreon sponsors.